Hi, I'm Assistant Professor Aditi Mathur, International Schools of Business Management, Suresh Gyanbihar University, Jaipur. And in today's video lecture, we will understand how to value bond. So before we proceed in understanding the valuation of bond, let us just first look on what do we mean by bond. So bond is a contract that requires the borrowing to pay the interest income to the lender. That means, in simple one, it is a legal contract in which it is written that Mr. A has given the loan or given the money to Mr. B, and at this percent of rate, the amount will be paid or the interest will be paid to Mr. A in 10 years or 5 years or whatever years it has been mentioned. The bond resembles the promissory note issued by the government and corporates. So you can, see that there are some similarities between the bond and promissory notes. The par value of the bond indicates the face value of bond, that is the value stated on the bond papers. So there is a bond paper, a contract. The value which is written on that contract paper or the bond is your par value. It is that face value of that security which is bond. Generally, the face value of bond are 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and alike. So that means they are in the multiples of 1,000. You cannot issue for 200 rupees or for 250 rupees. It has to be in thousands. Most of the bonds are fixed interest payments till the maturity periods. So that means there is a deadline, there is a stated time period for which the bond is issued. That means there is a date of issue and date of maturity. And on the bond, the interest rate is specified, it is well clearly stated, and every interested party of the bond knows the interest rate, the maturity date, and the face value of the bond. The specific rate of interest is called the coupon rate. So the another name of the interest rate in the bond is your coupon rate. Coupons are payable, quarterly, semi-quarterly, annually. It depends on that contract. It can be only annually, it can be quarterly, it can be semi-annually. At the end of the maturity period, the value is repaid. That means the entire amount which is written on that bond, that means your par value, your face value, is repaid at the time of maturity. Right? So it is a promissory note type security which have a par value or a face value written on that contract, a legal contract, and it is always in the multiples of thousands. It have a fixed interest rate payable, and there is a maturity period associated with that rate. The rate is also known as the coupon rate. These coupon rates are payable quarterly, semi quarterly, or annually, and the entire amount is repaid at the time of maturity. So now let us just look on the methods of valuation of bonds. So there are actually two main methods. One is present value of bond, and the another is bond yield. Yield means earning. So these two methods have sub methods. In the present value of bond, you can use the compounded annually or compounded semi-annually based on your situation the bond is issued on. And bond yield methods have itself four methods to calculate the value. First is your current yield, then yield to maturity, yield to called, and realized yield to maturity. Let us just look on all these aspects one by one. So the first method or the first technique to calculate the value of bond is your present value of bond. In this process, we fairly determine the price of the bond. As With any security or capital investment, the fair value of a bond is present value of the stream of cash flows it is going to expect it to generate. The same way which we did for the at the time of valuations of your equity. So what we are going to do, all the future expected cash flows which this bond is going to generate, we will pull back all those value to present, and then we will calculate the present value of bond. That means we are going to do discounting, because in the timeline, from the future values we are going to calculate the present value. From right side we will move at the left side. So that is why we are going to use the discounting factor of time value of money. So the bond or the value of the bond or the asset or any financial equivalent asset is equal to the present value of cash flows expected from it. So whatever the value you are going to generate, that bond is going to generate, is known as the bond value or the security value. Determining the intrinsic value of bond required two important components. The first one is an estimate of expected cash flows, and the second one is the estimate of required rate. So the first one is to know all the inflows which are going to be there in future because of this bond. And the second one is to know that expected minimum rate. And these two important components help you out to calculate the present value of bond. To simplify the analysis of the bond valuation, certain assumptions are taken care of. The first assumption is the coupon interest rate is fixed for the term of the bond. That means for the entire life of the bond, it will be same. The interest rate will be same. It will be constant. It will not change. So if it was 10%, it will remain 10% throughout the life. Even the bond is for 25 years, for 100 years, or for only 2 years. That doesn't matter. So the interest rate or the coupon rate is fixed for the entire term of the bond. The second assumption is that the coupon payments are made every year and the next coupon payment is received exactly a year from now. That means there is no date difference. If the payment is made at 1st July, it will be always on 1st July only. Doesn't matter if it was a public holiday. Doesn't matter if something happened in your organization and because of bank strike you were not able to pay or something like that. We ignore all such factors and we assume that the payments of coupon will be paid on that exact same date every year. Right? So this is also one of the biggest assumptions we are taking, because you know that the payment process take time. You will issue it, the bank will clarify, and then every receivers will receive it, or the whichever way the interest is paid. But it takes time. So if you say that I will always receive the interest on 1st July, it might not be correct. But we are assuming in the calculation of the present value of bond that we will be receiving the interest on that exact date every year. That means the date of interest received is also not changing. The interest element is also not changing. The third, foremost, and the very important assumption associated with the present value of bond is that the bond will be redeemed at par on maturity. That means that the face value which is written on that contract, on that bond, that value will be the redeemable value at the time of redemption. It will not be redeemed at premium. It will not be redeemed at discount. It will be redeemed at par. That means if the face value of that security was 5,000, it will be redeemed at 5,000, not at 5,001, not at 4,999. right? So these are the three important assumptions which we have to first assume or take into the consideration before we learn how to calculate present value of bond. So now let us just see how do we calculate the present value of bond. After considering the assumptions, this is the formula which comes up. That is C divided by 1 plus R to the power of T or N plus M divided by 1 plus R to the power of N. So let me just teach you this formula with the help of an example. Let us just all assume that we have a bond at the rate 10% of INR 1000 rupees, and it is for 3 years, right? So first and the foremost thing is that you should know the N or the T is 3. Maturity value is 1000. Why it is 1000? Because of the assumption that the redemption of this bond will be at par. The coupon rate or the small r is your 10%. Capital C denotes the annual coupon payment. That means your annual interest. So let us just calculate the annual interest of our illustration. So it will be 1000 10%, which is equal to 100. So our capital C, which is your interest or the coupon payment annual one, is 100. Number of years is 3, which is equal to T also. And P is the value of the bond for which we are doing this calculation. Now, as you know that we are using the present value calculation method, that means we are going to discount all the inflows which we will be there in these 3 years. So let us just do this calculation. So what you are going to do is, first of all, let us just learn this concept with the help of the time value. So we have present value which we have to calculate, and we know the security is for 3 years and the coupon is 100, and we will be receiving the future value, that is your 100, because 1000, because it was issued at par and it will be redeemable at par. So now what we are going to do, these 100 which we are going to receive after end of every year, we will pull back them to the present value with the help of the 1 plus r to the power of n, right? So that is how we are here with our formula, and P, that is the value of bond, will be equal to coupon 1 divided by 1 plus r to the power of 1. Coupon 2 is 1 plus r to the power of 2. Coupon 3, 1 plus r to the power of 3, plus m divided by 1 plus r to the power of 3. Why? Because it is going to be there with us after 3 years. So we have to discount for the 3 years. So this is how the values will be: 100 divided by 1.1 plus 100 divided by 1.1 to the power of 2 plus 100 divided by 1.1 to the power of 3 plus 1000 divided by 1.1 to the power of 3. And when you will solve this, you will find out the present value of your bond. Isn't that easy? We have studied this format for the valuation of equity also. But the only difference was the dividend and your sales value, or the predicted value at which you will be selling the security. Rest all the parts and the components are same. So now let us just solve a very small question, and it is: consider a 10-year, 12% coupon bond with a par value of 1,000. That means the N is your 10, R is your 12%, and your face value and redeemable value is 1,000. The required yield is 13%. That means you require the 13% discounting factor. The cash flows of these bonds are 10 annual coupon payments of 120 or 1,000 principal repayments 10 years from now. So how you're going to do it? Simply, you are first going to calculate the capital C, which is equal to 1,000 into 12%, which is 120, right? So we are going to first calculate 120 into present value index factor of 13% for 10 years. So what we are doing over here, I am actually using the PVIFA table, the present value index factor for annuity table, in which we will just go and look on the rate, and we will get out the factor at which our present value for the 10 years at the rate of 13 will be, right? So you can take the help of this charts. We have already discussed these components and these terminologies in our time value of money. So we are not discussing this again and again. Plus the redemption value, that is 1,000 into present value factor, right? That was annuity, and over here we are using the factor for the 13% for 10 years. And when you will do the calculation over here, as you can see in the solution, you will find out that the value is 946.1. If you don't know the table calculation, you don't know how to look on the table, and you don't know how to do the calculation, then I'll recommend you all to make a chart in which you will write C. Sorry, first we will write the N, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And you will write the correspondent C, that is the coupon interest which you are earning, which is 120 for each. 20, 120, 120, 120, 120, 120, and 120. Then you will write the PVIF factor at the rate of 13%. And how to calculate that? We know that is 1 divided by 1 plus r to the power of n. For here, it is 1 divided by 1.13. On calculators, you will write 1, press the divide button, 1.13 equal to, then equal to, you will first multiply and equal to, you will get the square, then equal to, you will get the present value index factor for the entire range, and just note that values over here, multiply it and get the present value of the coupons, and then add them up. It is going to be the exact, which is this one, right? So you can use both the ways. Either you can solve the entire table, or you can simply take a help of the PVIF table and just see the factor and implement it. The decision is all yours. In the examination, if the PVIF table is given or the data of the table is given to you, simply use it. Don't waste your time. And if it is not given, so please solve it with the help of these table. Use the formula, use the calculator without making any silly mistake, and come up to the final answer. This is how it will look like when you will solve it. I have already did it for you. You can see I have already calculated the PVIF at the rate of 13%, and then I have calculated the present value multiplying the capital C with the PVIF, and then look, the exact figure which is here with us. Over here, I have written the 10th year figure also directly because it will be same. Why? Because the value or the factor number will not change for the 10th year. It will be the same number which will be there for the redemption also. So the same figure is being used, and you have calculated the present value with the help of this chart or the formula. And please use these charts in the calculation if the table is not given to you. Now, let us just solve the questions. If the data is provided or the interest has to be paid semi-annually. So if you remember in the time value of money concept, we have shared that how to do these types of equation when the payments are made or the interest is calculated semi-annually, quarterly, monthly. So the fundamental rule was to multiply the N and to divide the R. So as it is semi-annually, we will multiply the N with 2 and divide the R with 2, right? The rest of all the part of the components of the present value is same. Let's check on the 7th example to understand the concept with more clarity. So the example says to find out the present value of an 8-year 12% coupon bond at the par value of 100, on which interest is paid semi-annually. The required rate of return on this bond is 14%. So let us just first calculate the C. And for the calculation of C, what you are going to do, your R, that is your C, is divided by 2. So it is now 12% divided by 2, it is 6%. And your N is 8 into 2, which is your 16 years. Rest all the part of the formula is same. That means your present value or the price of the bond is equal to C divided by 1 plus R to the power of N sigma, right? Plus maturity 1 plus R to the power of N, right? So now for this calculation, it is going to be P equals to 6 because hundreds 6% is equal to 6. So 6 divided by 1 plus 0.07, right? The discount factor will also get reduced. It was 14%, but now it will be reduced. It will be half. It will be divided by 2, and we will get it to 0.07, that is 17%. To the power of, you will do the sigma of this to the power of 16 plus 100 plus 1 plus 0.07 to the power of 16. Or you can simply take the help of the PVIFA, calculate the factor, and then simply multiply it, and you can get back to the work. So this is how we calculate it. That is 6 into present value index factor of NUT for the 7% 16 years plus 100 into present value index factor of 7% at 16th year, and your value will be 90.6 paisa. Or if you want to do the calculation with the help of the table which I have shown you before, you can easily very smoothly calculate with the help of that table. First write down the n, then the c, and the calculate the present value factor of each year at the rate of 7%, and multiply, get the present value, and then sum them all together, you will get 90.6. So it is a homework that you calculate the value of present value with the of this question with the help of the table which we have discussed right now, and just cross check whether the value is coming to 90.6 or not. Now let us just quickly move ahead and understand the another method to calculate the bond value, which is current yield method. So current yield method is the method which relates the annual coupon interest to the market price. It is expressed as current yield equal to annual interest divided by the price. And the price is what? The market price. Let us just see the question. Future value of bond 1000, coupon rate 6%, current market price 900, find out current yield. That means at present how much is this bond earning, current yield. So we are just simply going to use the formula, that is P is equals to annual interest divided by price, which is annual interest is your thousands 6%, which is 60, divided by price of 900, which is equal to 0.067, and if you take it into the percentage, it is going to be 6 point, sorry, the value is coming to be 0.067. In percentage, it is 6.67%. Right? So it is very easy to calculate. Just calculate the coupon interest or the annual interest, divided it by the market price, and you can easily get the current yield or the rate at which it is yielding right now. Let us just check the another example. The current yield of a 10-year bond, which is for the 20%, is to be calculated with a par value of 1000 and selling price is 950. So now what we are going to do, we are first going to calculate the C, which is 1000 into 12%, 120. So our current yield is equals to 120 divided by the selling price, that is 950, which is equals to 0.1263 or 12.63%. So at present, this bond is yielding, or it is earning 12.63%. Right? So this current yield calculation actually reflects only the coupon interest rate. It does not consider the capital gains or the losses which you are going to realize or earn as an investor at the time of purchase or at the time of sales. Right? It will be just the calculation at present what you are earning. It also ignores the time value of money concept. We have not touched on any discounting. We have not touched on any present value calculation or the future value calculation. So this concept of current yield method ignores the time value calculation. It is important to understand that this method is incomplete and simplistic method to calculate. And that is why it is not used at the large scale, because it ignores the time value of money component, and it does not count, or it does not take into the consideration the capital gain or loss which an investor might incur. So now let us just talk on the next topic or the next method, that is yield to maturity. So we have studied current yield method, and now we are studying yield to maturity. So it is a discount rate. This yield to maturity is a discount rate which we are going to calculate, that makes the present value of cash flows receivable from owing the bond equal to the price of the bond. That means at this price, the cash flow received from owing this bond will be equal to the present value, right? Mathematically, the R, small r interest rate, is expressed in this format. That is, present value P is equals to coupon capital C, that your annual interest, divided by 1 plus R plus 1 plus R to the power of 2 plus 1 plus R to the power, and so on till your maturity is reached. So let us just solve a question. It is same, right? So let us just solve the question and understand how to calculate your YTM, that is yield to maturity. RD Gupta recently purchased a bond of 1,000 face value, a 10% coupon rate for 4 years of maturity. The bond makes an annual interest payment. The interest is to be received 1 year from today. Mr. Gupta paid 1032.40 for the bond. What is the bond's yield to maturity? So for this, we know that our value is this much. Just a second. We know our coupon rates, and we have to calculate this R, right? So when you will use the formula, that is your P is equals to C plus 1 plus R plus C plus 1 plus R to the power of 2 plus so on, that C plus 1 plus R to the power of n plus your redeemable value divided by 1 plus R to the power of n. This is how you do or write in this question of R.D. Gupta. And when you will calculate it, you will come up to the value that YTM is equals to 9%. But it is very difficult for us to calculate these types of percentage. So we use an alternative formula to calculate it. So YTM rate is calculated with the help of coupon, that is your interest, plus face value of the security minus present value of the security divided by n, whole divided by 0.4 into your face value plus 0.6 into your redemption value, which will give you the YTM percentage, right? Because if you see over here, it is really very difficult to calculate R. How we will calculate R? Because it is under the power of 2, 3, 4, and it is not that easy to do the calculation. So that is why we always use this formula, that is coupon or the interest plus face value minus the redemption value divided by n, whole divided by 0.4 into face value plus 0.6 into the redemption value. And when you will put the figures and calculate it, 100% sure your YTM will always be equal to that figure. For this question in which the RD Gupta is investing, he will be getting 9% coupon rate. right? So this is how we calculate your YTM, that is yield to maturity, that how much you will be earning till the maturity time comes. So this is one of the very easy and a very important formula that you always have to take into the consideration this part, right? So whenever it comes into a question, simply just use this alternative formula and get the answer. So our another important method is yield to call, which is also sometimes known as YTC. It is sometimes related to your YTM also, that is yield to maturity. Some bonds carry a call feature at entitles the issuer to call or to buy back. That means at any time of period before the bond expires or mature, I can go and call my money. So it actually helps the investors to get back the money whenever they want to get it back, because these bonds are for long period of time, for 10 years, 15 years, for 5 years, for 20 years. And if in between you need the money, the investors want to get back the money, they cannot do it because it is stuck over for a particular period of time. But this yield to call is a feature which gives the advantage to the investors to go and buy back or get the money back, right? So how to calculate the value for such types of security? It is simply C plus 1 plus R to the power of T plus maturity amount divided by 1 plus R to the power of N. N over here is number of years entitled assumed to the call date. That at this year might be possible that he called back the money. And M is the callback amount or the call price. And we can simply, with the help of this formula, can calculate the rate. The another important method is your realized yield to maturity, which is your somewhere down the line related to how much you actually realize from the yield. So your YTM calculation assumes that the cash flow received through the life of a bond is reinvested at the rate equal to yield at maturity. So you are reinvesting that amount. This assumption may not be valid as reinvestment rate applicable to further cash flows may be different. It is necessary to define the future reinvestment rates and figure out the realized yield to maturity. So let us just have a quick recap on all the methods which we have taken into the consideration while calculating the value of bonds. So we have studied the present value of bond method using the compounded annually and semi-annually. Then we have learned in detail how to calculate current yield, yield to maturity, and we have just touched upon the names of the yield to call and realized yield to maturity. I do hope that we had a great discussion on these topics, that how to calculate the value of the bond. It is really very important for us to know how to use the formulas in the questions. So now let's just have a quick recap with the help of the MCQ questions. I have prepared a 10 MCQ questions. You have to attempt them so that we can cross verify that how much you have learned from this video lecture. So the first two questions are on your screen. Question number 3 and question number 4. Question number 5 and question number 6. Question number 7 and question number 8. Question number 9 and question number 10. And now let's just check the correct options of all the 10 MCQs. The correct answer for question number 1 is option C. For question number 2 and 3, it's option A. For question number 4 and question number 5, the correct answer is option B. For question number 6, the correct answer is option A. But for the question number 7, 8, and 9, the correct answer is option C. And for question number 10, the correct answer is option B. So I do hope that you have scored good score in this MCQ test and understood the concept that what is bond and how do we calculate the value of bond under the different methods. Thank you for watching this video lecture. Happy learning.